everyone. How are you doing today? I hope everyone is doing well and that you guys are ready for this epic pick a card reading. I thought I would make a video that you can come back to anytime you have a question. We're going to work with 9 different concepts, some of which came from a wonderful patron of mine called Noelle. She is a patron of mine. She's been for quite a few months now, and she's pledging $9, which means she receives a 1 card reading each month, and each month she comes up with these interesting topics. For example, acceptance was her idea, and I found these readings, ambition, also mental wellness. So I found these topics to be really interesting, and the readings turned out to be very compelling as well. So I asked her if she agreed to take some of these topics and integrate it in a general reading for all of my viewers and subscribers. So this is what we're doing now. And obviously we're going to do this pick a card style. So whichever topic or word resonates the most with you, you can pick that card and you can listen to that message, that specific message, and hopefully it's going to help you with your situation. So I'm just going to shuffle the cards a little bit. And some of you have expressed that you like the sound of shuffling. So I'm going to try and make the shuffling sounds a part of this video. So the first card is for the topic of ambition. The second card is for the topic of mental wellness. One card for the topic of trust. And one card for acceptance. And every time you have a question, you can come back to this video and see which word or which phrase or expression resonates with your problem the most. And listen to that part of the video. I'm going to put the timestamps in the description, and I'm also going to post it as a comment for those of you who are using a mobile device. Shadow is the next topic. Shadow. And we're obviously talking about the Jungian concept of the shadow self, which is that part of yourself that you're not aware of, that you're not proud of, that you're trying to suppress. And I'm also going to post a video about the shadow itself, a more lengthy video, soon. The next upcoming topic is courage. And some of these concepts are maybe overlapping or intertwined. And if you feel like multiple labels fit your situation, then you can listen to all of them and piece the message together that way. Forgiveness. Creativity. And finally, transformation. All right, so just for recap, we have these 9 topics: ambition, mental wellness, trust, acceptance, shadow, courage, forgiveness, creativity, and transformation. So now it's time for you to make your choice and skip to the part of the video that you'd like to watch. Please see the description or the comment that I posted. If you picked ambition, then the card that you've got is the Queen of Wands. The Queen of Wands. Wands represent fire, and the Queen of Wands is the female archetype or aspect of fire. So what we have here is the source of your ambition and the energy that can protect your ambition and your sense of feeling motivated. The Queen of Wands is this energy of wanting to be liked by others. This energy of popularity, charisma, being optimistic, and focusing on having a good time. So this is not the teeth-gritting, ruthless ambition that sometimes movies like to portray, and what could be like the stereotypical image of a Wall Street broker or a CEO of a company. And sometimes in reality, people imagine that ambition should be like this, that it should be a me against the world kind of feeling. But the Queen of Wands is here to remind you that your ambitions can only be fulfilled and your motivation can only be kept up and running and alive if you realize that it stems from this urge and desire to be liked by others. And the best way for you to stay motivated and to adhere to your ambitions is to realize that you can only achieve your goals if you cooperate with others, if you consider other people's feelings, if you realize and stop being ashamed of the fact that you would like to impress others, that you would like to charm other people, and you have the natural ability to do so in your chosen field, in your whatever you're talented at. So instead of trying to conquer and convince and annihilate other people, accept this natural tendency within yourself to want to ignite good feelings in other people and want to inspire them. And so that's the best way for you to connect with your own ambition, and that's the way of the Queen of Wands. Good luck to you. If you picked mental wellness, your card is the Page of Wands. Just trying to show you the card, the details of the card. Very beautiful. The Page of Wands. So, wands represent fire, and pages are the first step or steps of learning something or acquiring a skill and expertise in a field. So having the Page of Wands show up in the topic or for the topic of mental wellness indicates to me that you can perhaps consider this, the topic of mental wellness, as a skill that needs to be learned. It's not exactly a state of mind, it's not an emotion, it's something that requires practice and expertise and knowledge and enthusiasm as well. Wands stand for motivation, passion, creativity. And so the Page of Wands represents someone who's willing to open themselves up for new experiences, and someone who wants to experiment with their own creativity, with their own passion for life. So remember that your mental wellness, if you're feeling unwell mentally at the moment, it is okay. It's not a personality trait. It's not an emotion. It's not a state of mind. It's not a state of consciousness even. It's a learning curve. And there's many things that you can do for your mental wellness. And I'm sure you're already aware of those things. So all it takes is a little bit of practice. So apart from obviously seeking professional help if you are in need of it, there's a lot of small things that you can do for yourself to improve your mental wellness. So this card is asking you to take the time and the energy and the effort to try to do it. You already know what sort of input creates more well-rounded mental states within you. So this is just a card asking you to keep going that way and to keep practicing those things that bring you more stability. Good luck to you. The next topic is the topic of trust, which is certainly an interesting topic, and a lot of people have a hard time trusting. And we have the card of the Hermit here. The Hermit is a major arcana card, and as such, it's pointing to major life themes, patterns, important life events and tasks and problems that we need to deal with as humans. So the Hermit represents loneliness or aloneness. Loneliness is kind of an emotionally charged word, but if we phrase it a different way, aloneness or standing alone, independence, then it has a different flavor to it. So the Hermit is indicating to me that if you're having problems trusting other people, it basically derives from your own lack of trust towards yourself. And the way to strengthen your trust in the universe and in yourself even, and in other people, is to keep searching for your own way, and do not allow yourself to be trapped by society's expectations, by people's opinions and ideas of what you should be doing instead of what you feel is right to do. Those opinions can sway you, can confuse you unnecessarily. The Hermit is indicating to me that you are already on a path of self-discovery. And the light that you're looking for is to be found within yourself. You will never be able to gain the level of oneness or wholeness or wellness from other people that you can derive from yourself. So the hermit is basically asking you to be patient and try to find this lost trust within yourself. And the way to build trust with yourself is to just be consistent. And also having faith that this light of trust can be found within yourself. So that's why your patience is needed, because it's a long-term thing. You're not going to find it tomorrow. It takes patience and dedication. But the tarot is reminding you here that you can rekindle this connection with yourself. You can start trusting yourself again. You can start rebuilding this relationship with yourself. So consistency is key. Making promises to yourself that you keep. So try to be a good friend to yourself. And that way, trust will grow. And you'll be able to start believing that other people are capable of it as well. And you will start attracting people who are like that. Good luck to you. If you picked the topic of acceptance, then your card is the Three of Swords. Three of Swords. Now, the Three of Swords is a difficult card because it's kind of a negative card. It is a card of mental anguish. So I believe that the reason you picked this topic and the reason you want to hear more about it is because you're unable to move on, to accept a certain fact, a situation that's hurting you at the moment, and you're looking for some release from that. The Three of Swords, swords representing the mental aspect, the cognitive field, the psychology, the thoughts, the ever running and functioning, sometimes over-functioning of our brains, of our minds, over-analyzing situations. And the Three of Swords, which comes after the Two of Swords, it represents a moment of being exposed, a moment of coming out of the Two of Swords state where you are protected, you're blindfolded, and you're holding two swords, and you're in this sort of hibernation, this meditative state. And then the third sword appears, and it represents society. It represents people coming into the picture, the outside world, the world of people, There's this saying, hell is other people, and I think it fits here perfectly. So the third sword is piercing you, it's piercing through your heart, and it's making you feel exposed and vulnerable. So how do you accept this? How do you move on from this? Well, first of all, you need to understand that this is a mental function, that this is not reaching deep enough to enter the field of emotions. So this isn't something that you can solve by crying, by emotional release, by emotional comfort, or by seeking emotional comfort from other people. This requires a change of perspective, as it is the case very often with these swords cards. So the Three of Swords is asking you to try to change the way you see this. Your view of the situation is what's really hurting you. And as soon as you can navigate your mind to a point where it becomes acceptable, all other layers of your being are going to be able to accept it. So acceptance needs to happen on a mental level first, and then gradually it's going to become acceptable to every part of your being. So logic is a good friend to you right now. Use your logic, use your rational thinking abilities, use common sense as well to get yourself to a point where all of this becomes acceptable, not pleasant perhaps, not euphoric by any sense, but acceptable, so that you can move on and that you're not attached to it anymore. Good luck to you. If you picked the topic of the shadow, that's very interesting. I was so sure that it's going to be the moon, and it is the moon. The moon is the perfect card for the shadow. It is basically, I would say that it is the tarot expression of the shadow. So the moon is, as you know, it does not have its own capacity for emanating light. It only mirrors or reflects the light of the sun. So in and of itself, it does not exist, just like the shadow does not exist on its own. It is a reflection. It is a counterpart to the solar component of the self, perhaps the ego, the ego. So it is a counterpart to the ego, and it is not an entity in and of itself. That's important to remember. So there's a symbiotic relationship between the moon and the sun, between the shadow and the ego, or the persona, perhaps. And so, what the moon represents here is this lack of power, basically, in and of itself. So just remember that even if the shadow can be intense and it can permeate our existence in very unpleasant, sometimes violent ways, it derives its power from the self. That is the tip of the iceberg. That is the thing that we are aware of. So the ego and the persona that we have some level of control over. And therefore, if we want to work with the shadow, if we want to integrate it, we cannot directly speak to it, so to say. We cannot access it in a direct way. We need to go through our egos and through working with our personas. And the moon is also a reminder that there's beauty to the shadow, that it's not just this nasty, unnecessary thing that we need to try to discard or get rid of. It is beautiful, poetic. It has a lot of creativity. It has a lot of potential, artistic potential. Our imaginations are captivated by the shadow. If you look at, movies, literature, art of all kinds, art forms, they have always been inspired by this idea of the shadow. So there is something to it. We should not shun the shadow any more than it already is. So I recommend that you watch the video that I perhaps already posted at this point, or if not, it's coming soon. It's a reading with that works with the concept of the shadow and other concepts from the Jungian structure of self. So I recommend that you watch it. Perhaps it's going to help, but for now, this is what I can tell you. Thanks for watching. Good luck. If you picked courage, interesting. Okay, so for the topic of courage, we have the Five of Wands. And it's very interesting because the first thing that comes to mind when you look at this picture, I mean, in my mind anyway, but I guess you probably are having the same reaction. It seems like this person feels ashamed, feels like she's embarrassed. She's covering herself up. She's in a defensive position, and she's surrounded by these Five of Wands, because this is the Five of Wands. And the Five of Wands is the card of conflict, or one of the cards anyway in the tarot, of open conflict. And so what this card is telling you is that having fear and anxiety and feeling like you're going to be exposed, that you're going to make yourself vulnerable, is actually something that you need to acknowledge, and that is nothing in and of itself to be ashamed of. So don't be ashamed of your shame. Don't be ashamed of your fear. Real courage does not come from fearlessness. Real courage comes from doing the things we want to do anyway. Having this apprehensive, fearful, anxious feeling in our hearts, but still going ahead and doing whatever we want to do. So just be mindful of that. Fearlessness is not really even a desirable state of mind. Some soldiers who experience PTSD describe a sense of numbness where they really do not feel fear. They are not connected with that part of themselves. But that's a mental illness. So if you're experiencing fear, if you are not sure if you should do something or not, if you're feeling this lack of courage within you, because that's what it is. This lack of courage is basically you being ashamed of your fear. As soon as you drop the shame that surrounds it, you're going to be able to move ahead and proceed against all odds and despite of your fear. Good luck to you. So you picked the topic of forgiveness. Forgiveness. Interesting topic. And we have the Seven of Swords here. So the Seven of Swords is telling me that perhaps you don't need to forgive. You do not always need to think in terms of forgiveness. There are things that cannot be forgiven because true forgiveness is forgetting. So if you forgive someone, you're basically saying that I'm going to erase what you did from my memory, and I'm going to pretend like it never happened. So that can be one way or one expression of forgiveness. And that sort of forgiveness is more damaging in certain cases than anything, than even not forgiving. So this card, I think, the Seven of Swords, is telling you to be mindful and be alert and be cautious with who you're forgiving. Sometimes it is better to stay vigilant and to keep a certain distance from people that hurt you. So it really depends on your situation, but I feel like you're pushing yourself too hard to forgive someone who perhaps does not even deserve your forgiveness. Acceptance is quite another thing. So I recommend that if you resonate with what I'm saying right now, I recommend that you perhaps watch the card with acceptance as well. Because maybe what you're really looking for is not forgiveness. I mean, not the ability to forgive, but the ability to accept. On the other hand, if you are seeking forgiveness, then be aware that you cannot force it, that the Seven of Swords is a reminder that you were less than honest with yourself, first and foremost, and possibly with this other person. And what you did was a sort of betrayal. So forgiveness does not come easy, but it makes it easier if you change your ways. So if you take a good, honest look at yourself and how you've been behaving and make an honest effort to change it, it's going to be recognized and acknowledged by your environment, by the universe, by this person that you hurt or people that you hurt. And that way you're going to be able to move forward, and you're going to be able to rekindle these relationships. But try not to force anything, because it's not really time right now to receive forgiveness. Good luck to you. Creativity. All right, let's take a look. Creativity. We have the Nine of Cups for you for the topic of creativity. And the first thing that really came to my mind looking at this card is lack of inhibitions. The Nine of Cups is all about finding what makes you happy, what makes you feel alive, what makes you feel joy and exhilaration and euphoria. So the Nine of Cups for the topic of creativity, I believe, is a sign that so whenever you're being creative, whenever there's a creative action that you're trying to perform, whether it's writing, or making music, making art, anything, the best sort of compass that you can have is your own feeling of joy. So whenever you're excited and whenever you feel like this is the type of content or the type of art that you would like to consume, or that you would like to see or hear, then you're on the right track. So this is just a reminder to follow your own sense of happiness instead of adhering to other people's expectations. Make sure that whatever you're doing makes you feel warm and fuzzy inside, makes you feel excited, because that way you're creating something that's authentic and that is going to attract the right kind of people, the right kind of audience to you and your work. So even if you're being criticized, or if people are giving you their opinions, you can listen to them. You can certainly consider them, but the biggest thing is your own happiness. Good luck to you. If you picked the topic of transformation, we have the Knight of Wands. The Knight of Wands. Okay. So transformation is a pretty big topic, And the Knight of Wands is asking you to go into this process. If you feel like you need to transform your life, if you feel like you're going through a transformation spontaneously, this card is asking you to go into it with an attitude of not really being concerned with the consequences. Do not care about the future, because the future is being built upon your current actions. And right now, you're being asked to be as fearless and courageous as possible. So perhaps it would be a good idea for you to watch the reading I did for courage as well. It probably ties in with your situation. So this card is basically telling you to keep moving forward. Do not look back. It makes no sense. Stay active. Stay in motion. You're going through some dynamic changes, and you're basically ready to tackle the problems that are in your way. Just look at the determination and this, the seriousness that he has in his eyes. He is not gonna back down, and you shouldn't either. And you know what you're capable of. You have this deep confidence within yourself that is being awakened by this transformation process. So either you're being transformed spontaneously, or you're choosing to step on a path of transformation. Either way, the necessary strength and confidence is within you. It exists within you, and you're ready. So just keep moving forward, and just try not to be too concerned with how it's gonna turn out, because you're in God's hands. Thank you for watching. Have a good day or a good night, and I hope to see you in my next video.